Hey, it's Dave, and I like to do things. Today, I wanted to share some tips and hacks that I use to make my cruise vacations a little bit more enjoyable. A little bit about me. I like to cruise solo. Often, I travel light. So these hacks and tips are things that I do to make the most of each of my trips. Since I do travel light, I often fly down the night before. I don't typically check a bag, so I generally bring a very small toiletry or DOP kit, a lot of travel size stuff. And since I'm going to be on a cruise for a week, I like to have more or bigger sizes of things like sunscreen and after sun and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I do typically once I land. So I like to go to a local drugstore or Publix or other type of supermarket, and I like to pick up a couple things. Number one, I like to get a full-size container of Reef Safe sunscreen. You're going to be in the Caribbean. They talk a lot about Reef Safe, so I like to make sure I have some of that. And then I also like to make sure I pick up some After Sun product, something that's got aloe vera and lidocaine in it. Look, you're going to be out all day. You're probably going to put on a lot of sunscreen, but you're going to miss some spots, right? Or you're going to be in the water and it's going to wash off. So having something like an After Sun is definitely kind of an insurance product, if you think, and a way to keep yourself from being uncomfortable any longer than you need to. And I think if you've been on a cruise, you're probably very familiar with the evening of the first sea day, where you see lots of people walking around and you can see sunburn lines and people uncomfortable. So picking up that After Sun, even if you don't use very much of it, definitely can be a game changer. Now, something else I do, and I learned this after going on my first Virgin cruise, where they would give a bar of soap along with soap products, the liquid shower gel and hand soap and conditioner, is I now buy or bring a bar of soap. Now you might be like, well, why would you need that? You already have what you need in your cabin. But what I found is buying a decent bar of soap. I like to get a product from Dr. Squatch that has some grit in it. It's really useful when you spend all day out of port. Maybe you've been swimming, you've got salt and sunscreen grime and all sorts of just stuff. It's a really nice way to really get a nice deep clean. The grit doesn't hurt you, it just helps scrape off some of that stuff. And I really like it because it makes you feel better. And again, you're on a cruise, you want to have a good time. And anytime you're a little uncomfortable, a little irritated, it can sort of detract or take away from that experience. So that's something I've done and really like it. Now, something else I think is super important is making sure you pack or buy the right number of OTC meds, right? Certainly things like some Tylenol or Advil. You're probably going to have, especially if you drink, more drinks than normal, and the opportunity to have a hangover probably a little bit higher. So making sure you've got a little prevention there can be a great way to keep yourself from spending all day in your cruise cabin. Again, you're on vacation. You want to maximize all the opportunities. So that's number one. Number two, I like to bring or buy some sort of NyQuil. Generally, you're not going to get sick on a cruise, but if you do, or you're not feeling 100%, having something that can maybe relieve the pressure if you've got a sinus headache, or if you start coughing, something that can help suppress that. I mean, if you're sick, really sick, stay in your cruise cabin, or certainly don't get on the cruise beforehand. But if you pick up something, and I think anyone who's been on a cruise, certainly the last day or two, you start to hear a lot more people coughing. People have some runny noses. Certainly there's always a risk of people not washing their hands, and that's a whole nother sort of issue. But having a few sort of over-the-counter cold meds can be a great way to just prevent you from getting really sick and ruining part of your cruise. You certainly can buy cruise meds, or cold meds in different ports, but it's a lot easier if you have the stuff you know, the stuff you trust, the stuff you use with you. A couple other things to make sure you also bring. You're on a cruise ship. Cruise ships, especially modern cruise ships, are generally don't rock too much. They don't have too much motion. Certainly if you're in the Caribbean, it's often going to be pretty calm. But there can be days where it gets rougher. And if you are prone to motion sickness, making sure you have some remedies, whether it's the patch behind the ear or something like a Dramamine tablet to just stay ahead of if you start to feel sick. I've been on 10 cruises. I've only seen the seasick bags come out twice, and both times it was pretty rough, and people weren't feeling so well. Now, luckily I didn't get sick, but having those tablets is a good thing. The other thing that I think is really important to not forget is bringing some Band-Aids and some sort of Neosporin type cream. If you're cruising in the summertime, your feet are probably used to wearing flip-flops and kind of more ready for some of the rubbing and chafing that might happen. But if you go in the wintertime and now you're on a Caribbean beach with feet that have been wearing snow boots and heavy socks, your feet may get chafed and you may get some blisters. And if you're on day 2 and all of a sudden the flip-flops that you're normally going to wear hurt your feet because you've got a blister, you've got a rubbed raw spot, that Neosporin and a couple of Band-Aids can make a huge difference. The other thing too is on a cruise you might be walking a lot more than normal, right? Certainly walking around the cruise ship, but taking those excursions, even docking in a port, sometimes the walk from where the ship docks to where the excursion point meets, or the port area itself, could be a half mile or more. And if you're not used to that and you chafe your feet, you're going to be uncomfortable. And again, you're on vacation. You don't want to be uncomfortable. The last thing is pack some Tums, pack some of that anti-diarrheal medicine. You might eat in a cruise port, get a little indigestion. Maybe you have some, go to a lunch on an excursion, something's not cooked properly. If you're back in your cruise cabin not feeling well, you're going to be upset, you're going to be miserable. So those are things that I think are super important to either pack, or if you travel like me, super light, make sure you buy before you get on the ship. Now, the next thing is bring a laundry bag. Now, you might be like, okay, of course I bring a laundry bag, or I'll just do laundry on the ship. And certainly some ships offer different types of laundry facilities. Some ships you can actually do laundry. Some you can send out some laundry to be done based on either you're paying for it or depending on your loyalty status. But regardless of whether you get some laundry done or not, you're certainly going to have some that is going to accumulate and you're going to need to have a place for it. So what I do is I actually bring a kitchen trash bag. I use bags that generally are impregnated with some sort of like Febreze or Gain smell, so they smell a little bit nicer. But before I leave my home, I put a bag in my suitcase. When I get on the ship and start unpacking, I put that trash bag in the corner of my closet or wardrobe, and then as I accumulate my dirty laundry, I just stuff it into that bag. Now, it keeps the cabin from smelling, and even if you're in a cabin that's got decent ventilation from a big balcony, 7 days can certainly add up to some smells. So if you can keep your laundry from stinking, that's going to be a good thing. So that bag, as you fill it up, right, keeping your laundry in a single place, keeping it organized, if you will, on the night before you get off the ship, you've got to pack, whether you're doing self-assist where you're taking your bag off yourself or putting your bag outside your cabin to be collected, you've got to figure out a way to get it packed. And obviously folks don't love to pack. It's the end of the cruise. You might be a little sad, might be a little, I wish we had a few more days, but regardless, you got to get that bag packed. So that laundry bag, that trash bag that you filled up with all your dirty laundry, it becomes a super easy way to just drop in your suitcase, zip it up, get off the ship, fly or drive home, and then when it's time to do laundry, all you have to do is unpack that bag, take it right to your laundry room, and get going. No one wants to do laundry, of course, but it makes your life a heck of a lot easier, and something that I do and really, really appreciate the simplicity of it. The last thing I want to talk about, and this kind of goes in line with some of the changes that have been coming with some cruise lines, with certainly Norwegian changing some of their drinks packages, and obviously other cruise lines having different sort of tiers or parameters with their drinks packages, is water isn't generally included. Now, you can certainly get water on a ship. At the buffet, you can fill up, a cup and certainly drink it. But if you wanted to get bottled water, generally things like a San Pellegrino or an Aquapana or some other similar bottled brand, you're going to pay extra for it. So what I recommend is bringing a refillable bottle, whether it's like an Nalgene bottle or some sort of aluminum. It could be a Stanley cup, something like that can hold a fair amount. It's great to constantly refill. Most ships today now have refilling stations. And as an additional bit, I recommend bringing some electrolyte tablets, a brand called Nuun, N-U-U-N, or something like a Liquid IV or Element, even some sort of sweetener, right? Something to make your water taste a little better. But the Nuun tablets and Liquid IV, they also have electrolytes. Now, again, you're on vacation. If you drink, you're probably drinking more than normal. You're out in the hot sun. You're going to be sweating. You might be more dehydrated than normal. So the electrolyte tablets with that refillable water bottle are a great way to stay hydrated. So these are some of the simple hacks that I use to make my cruise better. What about you? Drop your best hacks in the comments below, and hopefully your next cruise is a little bit better if some of these have helped. Thanks, and have a great day.